material should be all about driving impact in a recession and like how to save costs, how to increase revenue, and then continuously train your partners on it. And I think that's where you will really head into the right direction.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to a bit of that humility that we speak about pretty regularly. You've got to recognize your partners sell a lot of products, sometimes very different types of products to different types of customers. And if you're asking them to be experts in all of those different fields, that's really difficult. Whereas I've sat in that world, and I know if a vendor comes to me and says, here is how you are successful with this sale, here is the secret sauce, now just go and take that to market. Brilliant. That's what I love. I love that you're telling me not just why this product is good, but how to be successful selling it. Now I've just got to go and rinse and repeat. And let's be really clear, if that's done well, you're going to get the scaling vector of channel, which in a recession is doubly important.
Yeah, what you're touching upon in your last sentence, doubly important. I think there's also a very positive side about being in channel at the moment, because in the past, channel has always shown to be really recession proof. Why do you think that is, and how can you best utilize that as a channel person?
Yeah, it's SaaS tailwind 101, right? Which is, okay, we've proved product market fit, and now we want to grow really fast. Cool. How do I hire 1,000 BDRs, right? That's basically what every SaaS brand goes through. Let's triple our BDR team, enter a new market, triple our BDR team, and go, go, go. You can't do that now. Now you're getting rid of BDRs, and it's becoming a much tighter sales force. And that's why channel teams are really recession proof, because, well, you've been hiring it crazy. Your competitor down the road has instead been recruiting partners like crazy, and a channel rep delivers far more revenue per head than a direct rep. Because if I run 10 partners and they all have 1,000 end users, I can manage effectively 1,000 end users, whereas my direct counterpart can maybe manage 50. And that's why the scaling vector is so channel. When I've got my CFO hat on, I'm sat there going, hang on a second, I just pay one person and I get access to 1,000 end users, or I pay one person, I get access to 50 end users. Think of the efficiency model. CFO is choosing channel every time.
Yeah, and especially when you think about reducing the risk again, like the risk when you hire a massive direct sales team is much bigger, because indeed once a recession hits or whatever, it's very hard. We see it right now with the huge amount of layoffs. It's such a big step, and it makes such an impact on the company when all those things are happening. Well, in the channel, it's the other way around. Indeed, you have your channel team that's managing the channel partners, but the channel partners get revenue if they actually sell. And I think there we actually find a very interesting hedge, so to say, for a CFO, where they actually know, okay, we have this huge amount of channel partners. There's a massive upside, but if things don't work out, of course, there's a cost, but the risk is a lot lower as well than in direct sales.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've sometimes heard senior leaders talk about channels expensive because of the reduction in margin, but it's not when you factor in cost per head, right? It's much, much cheaper. And like you say, risk is immediately mitigated. My advice for any businesses that don't really have a channel or a partnership division today, and they're wondering how to grow in a recession, immediately start to look at fundamental channel principles. Build a referral scheme, build an alliances division. Those are, although you might have to hire a very expensive head, you're talking about one head. It's not, 40 BDRs, 10 AEs, big sales funnel. Now you've got to do it multi-language. How do we scale effectively? No, instead you can set up a referral model, hire a couple of channel BDRs, and suddenly you've got a real engine that at worst, if it doesn't work, it's a few heads, but more likely, if well executed with the right partner program behind them, the right automation tools, suddenly you can start to drive scalability in a way that you've never done with a direct organization.
Yeah, we always say that it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? With channel. I think if you keep that in mind and in that you build it up, then there's such a huge uptake for it that it's worth all the effort that companies put into it.
Yeah, and I think with the marathon, it's not a sprint, absolutely a macro level. But I've seen channel teams do wonders within 3 to 6 months when they're incredibly focused, right? It's one thing to try and build the Microsoft ecosystem, 500,000 global partners, massive scale. Yes, that's going to take you 10 years. And awesome execution through 10 years. However, it's another thing to say, actually, we need to create a small amount of business very, very quickly. Yes, we could do it direct, The trouble with doing it direct is immediately you're going to drain resource, because what happens once you acquire those customers, you've got to manage those customers, it becomes very difficult. Whereas one focused partner manager can start to get deals on within months, like 3 months, and yet they can still keep closing deals because the partners are the customer success agents. They're the guys that do it themselves, and you can start to really churn that engine. So a good amount of focus and the right partnership manager. And don't forget, the partners are going through a recession as well. They're also evaluating, how do we grow within this? So the right conversation there to say, hey, look, we've got to buckle down. It's going to be tough times, but we've got this proposition which we know is recession proof, and we're willing to pull time into the relationship, not money, but time. Suddenly, really low risk investment that we know we can continue to grow with.
Yeah, and that's all that we want for 2023, of course. I think the final trend that I would like to discuss is, of course, we've been speaking a lot about it, but alliance/tech partnerships, where you have vendor-to-vendor relationships and channel partnerships coming a lot closer together. We've been seeing that trend going on for a while already, but I think especially with where we're heading, when we want to do things more efficiently, higher impact, with the same resources, achieve higher targets. What opportunity do we see there for alliance partnerships and channel partnerships to work a lot closer together?
Yeah, so for any alliance managers out there who aren't considering this today, bring your channel leaders together and have a conversation around how we bring these two ecosystems together. So just as a rough explanation, you have vendor A who builds an integration into vendor B. Rough alliance management is effectively what you do is you look at white space analysis between your end users and their end users, and who can we cross-sell into effectively. That's 101, that's 90% of an alliance manager's job, which is fantastic. What you're missing is the scaling vector of channel, which is rather than 100 end users, 100 end users, you can do 100 partners with 1,000 end users and do that same white space analysis. Yes, there's a bit of a longer runway because you've got to get the partners on board, you've got to understand, you've got to teach them how to do the sales cycle. But that, for me, we're starting to see the really dynamic alliance guys build really successful partnerships, but they haven't yet managed to do that at scale through channel. And I've got a real feeling that 2023 is going to be the year of bringing channel and alliances together, which makes me really excited because there's partners out there who are desperate to be able to work in conjunction with two power vendors and drive that sales cycle through. They've got huge end user lists and end user customers that they want to do that with. And with effective coordination, probably with the help of some marketing automation tools and tools like Reveal to do proper account mapping cross-functionally, if you can bring that all together, suddenly I think you've got a proposition that we really haven't seen outside of maybe a Google marketplace and a Microsoft marketplace, that if we can start to do that across the channel is going to be amazing.
Yes, and I think partners also really love it because they want to bring solutions to the end user market. And when you have alliance partnerships, you already get so much closer to a solution than separate products. And I think one of the opportunities I really see is also in terms of partner recruitment. Still, many channel people I talk to, one of their main goals is still recruiting new partners. But your alliance partners, your alliance vendors actually have a big database as well of partners, which is probably very closely aligned to the type of partners that would suit you, because otherwise there wouldn't be an alliance connection. So there's also a massive opportunity to get not only referrals into end users, but also into each other's partners, where you look with each other, okay, whom are we working with? Where is the overlap? Where can we introduce each other? And that can actually be a massive entry point there to make sure you scale your channel even further, but get partners into your ecosystem that fit your ideal partner profile very well.
Yeah, I think we absolutely need to do a full podcast on how you build a real alliance channel together. But yeah, fundamentally what you want to be doing is building a positional approach. So not just talking about features and benefits, but bring 2 to 3, 4 vendors together, a positional statement, then start to do a white space analysis on partner profile. So what partners do we all sell to and we think are low hanging fruit to start cross-selling into? And then who are those end users and how do we do that at scale? But that really for me is now the sharp end of channel and alliance sales. And I don't see it happening well enough in today's market. And the vendors that get that right bring on the right tools and support and consultancy to really make that happen, if they do that well, I think they are going to dominate the market. It's not going to be a 5 or 10% improvement. It's going to be, they are going to be the most fundamental growth lever in those businesses, which for me, as a sort of alliance and partnership evangelist, is really exciting, because we've seen partnerships grow from strength to strength over the last sort of 3 to 5 years, but we haven't seen that bedded into channel, which is the largest scaling vector. So whoever gets that right, I'm excited to see just how much they win.
Yes, and I think also when I look at it from a marketing perspective, for example, and when we were a little bit in the efficiency topic today, of course, there's also massive efficiency in there, because if you create an alliance campaign together, and there's always massive budgets for alliance campaigns, it's already created, but then usually that's where it ends. You send it to each other's end users, you try to do some extra activities around it, but then cascading it through the channel was always very hard. And you just said it as well, like your channel should actually be your scaling mechanism there. And that's where you also do here. You already created that campaign. It's a type of campaign that partners love, because end user, they like full solutions for the end user. And then you cascade it through each other's partners, where you really get a double network effect, so to say, in such a way, including a very efficient way of creating the content, because you created it for alliances, but then can just copy it almost one by one for channel partners. And I think that's also an interesting way to position it internally, why there should be a lot more cooperation, partnership, but also budget cooperation and sharing between alliances and channel.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that I'm forever surprised that we don't see more of, because I think what alliance managers want to do but potentially have challenges because they've got to work with different vendors, and maybe those vendors aren't all sold through the same partners or the same distributors. It gets slightly complicated. But the ideal scenario is, let's say you've got 4 vendors who get round a table. They decide, yep, we want to work together, but most importantly, we want to market together. They come up with a really good, let's say, positional statement around how these 4 vendors working in collaboration can reduce cost for X and Y. Brilliant. That's going to work really well in 2023. And then you want to cascade all of that marketing through every single one of your partners, and then have an intrinsic understanding that if partner A doesn't sell vendor 1, 2, but it does sell vendor 3, 4, that we've got a way of procuring that together. Then you just want to do that dynamically and automatically, and you want that to come out of a centralized budget. That is the ideal world, right? That is the thing that everyone wants to happen. Fortunately, we work at a business that's fundamental to what we're trying to achieve. But I think that is the absolute utopia of partnerships and channel coming together. And people who focus on doing that, they are going to take leaps and bounds forward for a couple of reasons. Number one, the end users are going to receive a holistic solution around a positioning. Number two, it's going to be unique because you're bringing together 2, 3, 4 vendors, and that's going to be a better proposition to the end user. And the third thing is, it's something the channel has never seen. And so that's why I'm so confident channel partners will resonate so hard with it, is because while everyone else is going, no, but this is what we do. Look, this is the solution that I sell. Please like us. You're going to be going, no, absolutely not. This is how you win with all of us around a table, that's going to help you access new end users, going to help you upsell and cross-sell more effectively. If I'm a partner, I'm jumping up and down for that proposition.
Final question about this topic. I'm very curious. Which role or which team should own this collaboration?
So for me, it has to sit within the alliances division, right? So if we look at some of the big tier 1 vendors out there, either they have a consumption team who drive consumption of their product, or they have an alliances division which is designed to bring a more holistic solution to the end user. Those are the ones that, if they're listing out there, they're the ones that have either access to direct budget or can go and get budget, that understand that bringing a more well-rounded solution to lots of end users are the ones that really is the name on the job. That's what they have to do. And the best way to do that is through channel. Now, I understand that there are challenges to doing it through channel because there's a long runway and how do we get them on board. But my recommendation is come and speak to, chuck us a DM on LinkedIn, and we can have a conversation around, here's how you automate it. Here are the companies that I'd speak to. Here's how you can cascade that message via distribution or via partners. But there are ways to shortcut that process that they're probably not aware of. But imagine if overnight they could cascade an alliance marketing bundle with a positioning statement to tackle education in a recession. Imagine if you could turn on every single partner to cascade that message all at the same time. That is the utopia of channel and partnership marketing done together. And we're really passionate about making that happen because it makes everyone win: vendor, disty, partner, and end user.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of listeners, and a lot of our network is in tech partnerships as well, especially in SaaS. And I think indeed for the tech and alliances people, there's a massive role already for you guys to tie together all the departments, of course, but really tying together the tech partnerships with channel. There's such a massive opportunity there. And I think secondly, for the companies who are already a bit more in an enterprise environment, it might also be interesting to put it in the partner program team, that you literally make a program around it that somebody owns. Because I think if there's one thing clear, especially if I hear you as well, it must be owned by somebody who is responsible. In the end, like, how are we collaborating? How are we leveraging both channel and alliances together?
Yeah, exactly. And it's got to come down to who is running those strategic initiatives, right? Certain businesses are much better than others at going, hang on, what's a bet that we can make this year that could go big? And that's not just recruit more partners. That's something strategic. Whoever owns that in your business, or whoever's considering that, needs to be spending time thinking, how do we bring these tech partnerships and channel together tighter? Because I know we've gone over it through this podcasts, but to me, that's the golden ticket. That's the one where suddenly you are going to win. Not 1 or 2% better, you're going to win 100, 200% better, because partners are clamoring for a bundled solution that delivers more value to the end user that they can easily market. Like, that just doesn't exist today. And unfortunately, there are a few vendors that can offer end-to-end solutions, but those are oversold, right? People understand who those vendors are, and so they are massive. And you've got to be doing business with them for years and years and years to get on those radars. So if you're in that competitor position and you want to attack one of those Goliaths, you've got to do it via alliances and then use channel to scale.
Yeah, really finding the smartest way to market. And I think we really see this as one of the crucial ways to go. I think to summarize, to win in 2023, put on your CFO cap or your CFO hat, where you really are very strong into your internal communication and find, okay, how do I position everything? How do I make sure I have a strong case, that I show the impact, but also do this external. So know for sure what is the positioning of ourselves to the channel, but also very important to the end user to make it all impact driven. How do we make sure they get more profit, lower costs, more revenue? Also, never forget that channel is actually a great mechanism during recession. So make sure you keep evangelizing that internally as well, so they see the value of it and to see the opportunity there. And finally, really think very strongly, how can we leverage alliance and channel together? And if you focus on those three things, it's going to be one hell of a year. I would like to wish you a very happy 2023. Hope to see you next week again. And as always, let Alex and me know what you think of today. And see you next week. Bye-bye.